it dawned on me that I had never mentioned anywhere in our materials, nor did my partner Tierney ever bring up the idea that our form of exercise that we promote, whether you're doing it with us or you're doing it somewhere else or at home, um, it is rated as probably being the most calorie using form of exercise. It's been well established that any type of shorter duration, intense, interval style athletics of any type tends to burn more energy, not just during the activity, but continues to burn calories afterwards. The reason why we don't really bring it up and detail it is it distracts from the more overall important point, which is motivation is a huge part of getting fit and staying fit, and getting involved in a killer routine tends to over motivate you. And I thought that's something that we should probably make a point of discussing, because nobody does. In the fitness industry, they're driving so hard to get you involved because people tend to think that it's going to require an entire change of lifestyle and change of being to get fit. And that's a huge leap for most people. So the industry uses a lot of different colors and sounds and terminology and different styles and fads to draw people in and try to motivate them. What we see and have seen over the years is when people are over motivated, they don't stick with their programs and their fitness over the long term. They just burn out on it. They can't sustain the type of nutrition and the type of exercise program that gets them in the kind of shape that they want to be in. So they just either just give up boldface or peter out over time. And this is a shame, because if you get in shape and then out of shape and then in shape and out of shape, you're probably doing as much damage, if not more, than if you just stayed out of shape. Getting in shape is stressful. It's a big change for your body. And especially if you're changing the way you eat, which you should at the same time, you're depriving your body of energy sources because you're outputting more than you're inputting. And that's very stressful. We go about it with our methodologies as safely and carefully and precisely as we can, but it's still stressful. To get in shape is tough on the body. However, to stay in shape really isn't. But to stay motivated is. So I think you could probably see where I'm going there. Further down in this post in the blog is a couple of examples of exercise, two of which you would have seen before, and one of them is a version where you take each exercise and you do it separately. You don't combine the movements, you do it separately, but one exercise after the other, circuit style. And the reason why we keep showing different examples of different forms of exercise you could do that are variations on the same theme isn't because we're stuck on a particular type of exercise. It's because we're trying to strike a balance here, and in general with our promoting, we're trying to strike a balance of exercising in a way that's sustainable. And it's the same thing with nutrition. We try to strike a balance between what you're going to need and what you're going to need to do to change, and then maintain that change, and something that you're going to stick with. Because if you can't stick with a reasonable way of eating and a reasonable way of exercising over the long term, you don't really get the health benefits. And we're centering what we promote on healthcare, not just on fitness, but we want fitness to be better understood as preventative medicine. And another way to put that is sometimes the best defense is a good offense. And that's basically proactive healthcare, utilizing the different sciences which support fitness, like exercise physiology, nutrition, stress physiology, these sort of things, utilizing those techniques to improve and sustain your health. So we're trying to avoid the whole trap of get killer over motivated, get into shape, then fall out of shape, and then start coming back and paying for the next greatest fad. So with these killer routines, you may be killing your fat, but you're in the long term possibly going to kill your motivation. You know, fat will give you thousands of calories. You know, 1 pound of fat on your body will allow you thousands of calories in payback. So trying to exercise off your fat is very, very difficult. Even though our particular form of exercise may be the most efficient and the biggest calorie burner for your buck, it's not going to make a huge difference workout to workout in fat loss. Where it supports fat loss is in also making you stronger in general and bringing your metabolic rate up in general and making you fit to the point where you move around more in general without even thinking about it. That combined with proper rest and reasonable nutrition that suits your body type, these are the things that over the long term are going to make the big difference. These are the things that are going to allow you to change your body type more towards a fit body type, regardless of what your genetics allow for in the initial stages, and allow you to sustain your new level of fitness long enough that your system accepts it. You know, it can take years for your immune system to come into agreement with the rest of your system about what your new state of being should be. So this is why you see yo-yo dieting, where you can lose a lot of weight and really get strong and in shape and enduring, and then next thing you know, you're just as out of shape as you were when you started, and you blame yourself and what went wrong, and there's some confusion and maybe some shame, and it's just uncomfortable. You don't want to look at it, and you remember what it took to get in shape in the first place. So you don't necessarily want to go through all that again. But to go through it all again takes even more motivation maybe than the first time, because now you know what you're facing, and hence this drive in the industry towards killer this and killer that. We think that once you find out the best way for you to eat and exercise, and you stick with that for a while, and you start to see some changes, but there's not this overhype, you're less likely to turn on yourself. Because when people get fit, sometimes it's hard to accept that, you know, when I was out of shape, I could make excuses for the way I felt and the way I looked. But now I'm exercising and eating right, and I still have to look at the way I look, and I still have to deal with the way I feel. And nobody's perfect. You know, we're not all movie stars. Even movie stars aren't movie stars, if you know what I mean. So it's often tough not to derail yourself as you become fit and past that honeymoon phase where, wow, look at how much better I feel and look. And you start to get used to the new you and realize you're not necessarily a superstar, because very few people are. The only people that need these killer routines are the elite athletes, and even they don't really need anything extra special. What they need is personal attention. So I would say that it's not a bad thing to be motivated by trends going on in the fitness industry, as long as you don't over excite yourself about it to the point where there's a backlash later on. It's probably a lot safer bet if you stick to things that are a nice balance of, hey, I'm trying something new and this is sort of well suited for me. You know, don't just go all new and don't just go for all things that you feel comfortable with. Use a healthy mix, and you'll probably find over the long term your success ratio to failure ratio is much better. You don't have these big highs and lows, and fitness doesn't just become a event that happened in your life, like a vacation that was wonderful and you wish you could be there all the time, but that's not realistic. Fitness is realistic, and fitness is for everybody. That's the take home here. So that's it for now.